Okay, so here, let me talk a little bit about what we think every web software engineers need to know. So over the last 7 years, as I interviewed hundreds of software engineers, both in the US and also overseas, there were a lot of skill sets that a lot of people that I have interviewed were missing. And these are just some of the high level on what type of skill sets employers are looking for and what people, 99% of the people that I've interviewed, didn't know some of these things, which I thought were crucial for anyone to be an effective web software engineer. So let's start from the HTML and CSS. So this we cover on CS 101 course. And do you know how to validate codes? Do you know how to develop HTML and CSS so that it shows up the same on Internet Explorer, Firefox, Chrome, Safari? Do you use tables when you do the layout? If you are, then you need to relearn how to do CSS. Do you do proper indentation on your HTML and CSS so that people can look at your code and easily understand what's happening? Another thing that we think is really critical is how long does it take you to break an image down to HTML and CSS? So my philosophy is if I was to give you any Photoshop image of a website, you should be able to break that down into HTML and CSS, clean HTML and CSS in a matter of 2 to 3 hours. And if you can't, that means you need to relearn how to do proper HTML and CSS. And amazingly enough, 90% of the people that claim that they know HTML and CSS actually don't know how to do it the right way. So that's one thing that we focus on very strongly. Now the next topic, jQuery Ajax, and again, Ajax is a very popular technology right now, but a lot of people don't really know how to do this the right way. And that's one thing that we cover on CS 110. Do you also know how to do object-oriented programming? Do you understand what inheritance, polymorphism, constructors, encapsulations mean? And do you use OOP when you code? If you don't know OOP, basically you're not really a web software engineer. MVC framework. Do you know what MVC framework is? Models View Controller. Have you used the framework before? For PHP, there's CodeIgniter, Zen, Symfony. There are a bunch of other frameworks out there. For Ruby, there's Ruby on Rails. For Python, there's Django and other MVC framework. Do you know what these are? And do you know how to use form validation, helpers, layouts, active record, or object relational mapper? If you don't, again, you're probably an amateur web software engineer. And these are the skill sets that, again, we think every software engineer needs to know. In MySQL, do you know how to optimize databases? How to optimize queries? Do you know how to prevent your site from SQL injection? Do you know how to connect to a remote database using MySQL Workbench? Do you know how to create entity relationship diagram? Do you know how to record slow MySQL queries in a log so that we can troubleshoot it later? If you don't, those topics are covered in CS201 and they're really, really important for you to know. Another thing that distinguishes an amateur programmer from a professional programmer is version control. Version control, two most popular are SVN and GitHub. Do you know how to run SVN update, commit, log, blame? If you don't, again, you need to learn this because every enterprise level software engineer uses version control. Server management. Do you know how to set up a cloud server from scratch? Do you know how to set up firewall, make the site secure? Do you know how to set up DNS? Do you know how to set up Apache and Nginx from scratch? And there are other servers that you can do as well. Do you know how to install packages and repositories in the server? Do you know how to set up development, staging, or production server? And every software engineer, web software engineer, again, needs to know how to do Linux server. If not, then there's a strong limitation on what the software engineer can do. Another thing is agile. Do you know how to do agile method? Do you know what story points, velocity means, and how those are used to manage projects? Have you attended or have you done sprint planning meeting, review meeting? If not, these are the things that a lot of employers are looking for. And if you have experience doing this, then you will have a higher likelihood of getting a job. Wireframes and mockups, these are extremely important. Have you created wireframes before? And do you know how to create effective mockups? If not, then you need to learn this as well. So again, there are a lot of topics over here, and this is why it usually takes someone 5 to 7 years, in my opinion, to learn all of these things because one, schools don't really teach you all of these things. And again, the internet is so overpopulated with all these other information that you don't need to know that it's really hard to find critical information to get you to be at a level that you feel comfortable with all these topics and you can jump into enterprise level team and work on applications. So usually it takes 5 to 7 years for web software engineer to know this. I've met and interviewed lots of people with 10 to 15 years of experience, and many of them actually don't know many of these things. So as I mentioned in the previous video, we're able to train our own employees, and I've trained dozens of others how to do all these in a matter of weeks. One person who's leading our learning platform has mastered all this in less than 6 weeks. And it is possible through utilizing our videos and working on the assignments. But let me go a little bit further. There are other topics that are good to know, such as Bootstrap, Backbone, which is an MVC framework for JavaScript, Node.js, MongoDB, Ruby on Rails, caching to speed up your server, developing your own API. But these are all really easy for you to learn if you know all of these fundamentals. For example, Ruby on Rails, if you know how MVC framework works, and if you have done that using PHP or Python or whatever language, you can pick up Ruby on Rails in probably a few days. Backbone, again, that's an MVC framework, so if you used another MVC framework, you can probably master this in a few days again. So all of these advanced topics, which we will also have in our course as well, are just building blocks after you've learned some of these fundamentals. So in our course, we'll focus quite a bit on these fundamentals. And again, you can learn these in a matter of weeks. It doesn't need to take you 5 to 7 years to learn and master these topics. All right, so mentors. Without the mentors, it's almost impossible to learn this in a matter of weeks. The reason that you can learn this in such a short amount of time is because, again, we focus on the absolute things you have to know and we just move on. Because if you need something else, you can always Google and find out. And if you know the fundamentals that we'll teach you, then you can learn all those other things really, really easily. But sometimes when you're working on a program, many times you're stuck. It may be when you're installing a program or you're writing a piece of code and you're just stuck. And you may be spending hours and hours and you just cannot seem to make any progress. And that's where the mentors come in, because the mentors who have finished our courses before can look at your code and give you the guidance. So you don't have to Google or you don't have to search and spend hours, but you can just simply email your mentor and your mentor will be able to give you the guidance you need in a matter of minutes. So the mentoring program is free and it will save you hours of research and headaches. And one thing that's really important is if you scroll down to the bottom of this video, there will be a link. So if you're logged in using Facebook, and if the email address you use to log into Facebook is not the best email address that we should be using to reach out to you about the mentoring program or for the mentors to email you, then click on that link and please update your email address. And this is very important. If not, then our email will probably never get to you and you may not be assigned a mentor. So please make sure you do that. All right, so I put down 6 tips of learning. So one is believe in yourself. Even if you have not done any web programming, if you just go through our course, in about 2 hours, you will be creating your first website, even without any programming experience before. So if you have not done any programming before, it may take you a little bit of time, a little bit more time than someone who did computer science or IT background. It may take you another week or two, but you can still do it. I've trained many people who are accounting background, marketing background, business background, and they were able to create a fully working website in a matter of days, 5 to 7 days. So you can do that as well. Okay, second, stick to our course. If something is not in the course, there is a reason that it is not there. It's mostly because you don't have to know that, or because later, when you introduce a new concept, those things will replace some of the things that you may learn. For example, on PHP, there are thousands of functions that you can go and study, but you don't really need to know because once you move into a framework provides a lot of functionalities that will replace a lot of those PHP functions, for example. Okay, so just stick to our course. Some of the fundamentals that we teach are very basic, but those basic things, once you combine it, can be very, very powerful. So stick to our course. If we don't tell you that you need to learn something, don't spend any time learning those things, because just trust us that you probably won't be using it at all. So just stick to the things that we tell you you need to know, and you'll be fine. Okay, do not skip assignments. We intentionally keep our videos short and concise so that it's not boring, that it will be fun for you to just go and get the exact materials that you need. But also, a lot of the learning comes from by doing the assignments. So do not skip the assignments, and you will learn a lot. Listen to your mentor. Your mentor will do code reviews, give you direct feedback on how you can get it to the next level. And then get certified. As you get certified, you will be able to participate in job fairs. We only connect businesses in our network with people who are certified in our courses. So get certified. And then another very important thing is, once you got certified, help others in your community to get certified. And your mentors can tell you more information about that. So frequently asked question, can I really learn all these? I have no programming experience. I talked about that before. Yes, you can. It may take you another week or two to learn, but you can do it. Okay, second question. I know some of these topics. Can I skip some courses? Well, majority of the people that we talk to, for example, says, oh, I already know HTML. And later, when I train them, I find out they know some of it, but the foundation isn't strong enough. So if you're really serious about learning and mastering all these, it's just better to start from the first course, CS 101, and just work on the assignments. If you already know the HTML, CSS, and PHP and other things, you could probably finish the assignments in a matter of just an hour or two. So just do the assignments, get certified, and move to the right topic. And I guarantee that 99% of the time, the mentors will be able to give you a great feedback to help you get to the next level. Okay, do I really need to work in the assignments? Yes, if you're serious about learning. If you're just casually looking through our course, then just go right ahead. But if you're serious about helping us find you a job, and if you're serious about fully learning and mastering these topics, yes, you need to work on the assignments. Okay, will I really be able to get a job through Village 88? So we're going to do our best to connect our students who are certified to businesses in our network, and we'll be increasing the number of businesses in our network, and we'll do everything we can to help you get a job if that's what you want. If you are not interested in getting a job, still come to our course and learn, and you can work with a mentor for free, and that's okay as well. But if you want a job, we'll do everything we can to help you get a job. And one thing I can say is, if you are certified, if you have at least 4 to 5 certifications on our course, the chance that you will get a job is dramatically high. Again, I've interviewed hundreds of software engineers and probably only found 2 or 3 that really knew these topics. So if you knew these topics, which are critical for developing enterprise web application, yes, your chance of getting a job will be increased probably 100 to 200 folds. All right, another question. Are we serious about offering our services for free? All the mentoring program is free? Yes, we are. So we want to make all of our education free for anyone in the world who is hungry enough to learn. And we're going to make money too, because we have to pay for the servers and pay for other services. But we're going to be making money from businesses who are interested in connecting with the students. So we are committed on keeping our courses absolutely free for students, but we are going to charge businesses because businesses have more money. So how can you help? So once you are certified, one thing that you can do to help is help others in the community. And later you can volunteer to be one of the mentors and help others in the world learn what you have learned. Another way that you can really help us is we're trying to grow our community. Our community is pretty small at this point, but we want to make this big and allow as many people in the world as possible to gain this really good education. So one really simple way that you can help us is by tweeting about us, by putting a message on Facebook about us so that your friends can see what Village 88 does, and that will be a huge, huge help to help us grow. And again, if you have any question, you can always email us at support@village88.com. And again, please make sure that we have the right email address, because all of our communication happens through email. So thank you very much, and have fun learning.